In this video, I'm breaking down 6 specific reasons why I prefer Antigravity to Claude Code, because I get asked that question every single day. But before I do, I want to clarify that if you're using either platform, you are absolutely not hard pressed. Both are incredible tools and both will absolutely get you where you need to go. The disconnect in how Antigravity gets talked about online, where there are literally hundreds of videos where guys are like, you know, Antigravity's insane, or this is a game changer. And then they'll show you this like fucking website, and it falls flat for a couple reasons, because one, we've been able to do that for a while, so it's not impressive. And two, the thing that makes Antigravity different isn't the code. That's a wash. The thing that makes Antigravity different is how it was put together. Antigravity is a development ecosystem. Right out of the box, on day one, they were already thinking about your entire project, right? From multiple agent orchestration to deployment, like the full picture, right? Whereas Claude Code was more like a open a project, cross some stuff off the list. It's super capable, but it's a totally different philosophy. Now, in all fairness, Claude Code and Anthropic are catching up. The community's built out a lot of different plugins for quality of life improvements, and Anthropic's adding all these new things, but Antigravity had a lot of these native at launch. So that's really important because Anthropic's adding all this stuff, but I'd already been using it. These are features that I'm used to, so I'm already home. All right, enough talking about it, let's do it. This isn't like a change my mind sort of thing. I've got subscriptions for both platforms. I just want you guys to see what I see. Let's dig in. Okie dokie, so we're gonna compare both platforms, and before we get into it too much, I am going to talk about the new Claude features. I have the updated desktop app, I have the subscription, we're gonna get there, okay? So just hold on. Before we get into any of that, I wanna talk about how most of us use these platforms out of the box. This is the very first thing you see with each of these, okay? When you open Antigravity, you're brought here. When you start Claude Code, you're left here. Okay, so the first thing you do with your Claude Code instance is you go init just to have it understand the code base and generate its memory file. I've already done this, so it's gonna probably double up, but it's gonna get the context for this folder and you're gonna start building out whatever it is that you need. Awesome, so far, right? Here we are on the other side of our Claude init. It's got its memory file all sorted out and we're ready to start building. But the problem here is as you keep going and you keep talking to this agent about what it is you want to build, each of these previous messages is attached. The more information you give an AI, the harder time it has to remember things. And this is a phenomenon called context rot. I've explained it a few times on this channel. It's essentially like a sandwich. AI memory, really good at recognizing the bread, but the more stuff you put in the sandwich, the harder time it has remembering what's in there, or like it doesn't know what to call that sandwich, okay? The Claude Code community realized this is a massive problem, so they've built a couple plugins that address this specifically. They're really clever, actually. GSD, Paul, to name a couple. So essentially it has an agent plan and then sends another couple agents to go and just execute the different tasks. So you don't get this context rot. Agent just knows what it's supposed to do. But honestly, it's still kind of a band-aid situation, just stitching things together to make the best of what you have. Very clever. But if you look over here on Antigravity, it looks like very much the same thing. You open your folder, you talk to the agent. Most people I talk to use Antigravity like this. This is their view, but really it should be this. This is the Antigravity Agent Manager, okay? This was shipped on day one. Essentially, it's the community solutions that the Claude Code users had, but it shipped on day one. You see the workspace is here. What I can do is I can plan in these folders, or just like brainstorm on a notepad in the playground. I can come up with the ideas, I can figure out the plan of attack, and then I can go ahead and send different agents after the different things. For example, my auto editor, this is a tool I built that helps me edit videos on my smartphone. So I did the planning with one agent, then I sent 2 other agents, one to actually address how this tool gets the videos, whether it's Dropbox or I send a text or whatever it is, and another one building the tool itself, how it actually treats the videos, cutting the silence, how we caption it, all that sort of stuff. And that was happening all at once. Now that it's already built, I still use the Agent Manager to have it process videos in different folders in different ways at the same time. Or if you're building an app or whatever it is you're building, you can have one agent on the front end, one agent on the back end, stitch them together like that, both with fresh context. They know exactly what to do and they don't lose track of the goal. The difference is this isn't a plugin, it's the platform. They've had this from day one and they've already built out a really robust, easy to use UI for it. While we're here, another reason I prefer Antigravity is because I can choose my model provider. When you're in Claude Code, you're married to Anthropic models, which isn't a bad thing. Honestly, Opus 4.6 is what's got me so fired up about building these tools, but Gemini has made huge advancements in terms of UI and design. As these two models keep jockeying for position, I actually don't have to choose between either. I can use both. If it wasn't explicit enough, I can have the best of both worlds with Antigravity. I can have Opus build the frame and I can have Gemini do the paint job. Actually, speaking of Gemini and design, one of the most popular skills right now is YouTube thumbnail designer. And all of these skills have you call out to Key AI or Higgsfield or whatever it is. You don't need to do that with Antigravity. Antigravity. Okay, so check this out. This image here was AI generated with the thumbnail skill. I had AI look at a bunch of headshots of me and it came up with this to help me with thumbnail. Except I didn't call Higgsfield. I didn't call Key AI. I didn't pay any extra API calls. It came from Antigravity itself. Okay, so I adjusted that thumbnail skill to call the native tools in Antigravity, and that's all included in my subscription. I'm not paying for any other credits on Key AI or anything like that, which is actually another point. A lot of people think that Claude skills are Claude skills, but they're not. They're universal. At the end of the day, these skills and workflows are just markdown files, which are detailed instructions that any agent can follow. That is not exclusive to Anthropic. So any repo you see with a cool skill or a framework you like or whatever, you just import it into Antigravity the same way. And let me just show you here. And then it turns out as slash commands, just like anything else. So I've got all my skills in here. Let's say I wanted to use the thumbnail generator. I just go slash thumbnail generator, continue like that. Another problem people found with Claude Code is the conversation history is a little bit dicey, right? You can go through Git and there are ways to do it. Like it can check out the claude.md file and whatnot, but the conversation history is really, really user friendly. You can literally just click the history and it goes through the entire chat history of every single project you've ever worked on, just like that. And you can recall them. You can see exactly what's going on. In settings, you can add global behaviors and policies to every agent before you spin them up. And then you don't have to waste that context prompting each individual agent. That happens. You got knowledge base. There's a baked in browser with automations that you don't need to go and install Playwright or do any sort of scripting like that. It's just out of the box, browser automation. But like speaking of integrations, this is on Google's ecosystem. So every Google product integrates natively into Antigravity, which is a huge time saver. You can get to these through Claude Code, but there's usually a couple workarounds. This is great, especially since I work on Google's ecosystem. I use Workspace. I use BigQuery all the time. All the new Google Labs products are in here as well, which is awesome. There's a lot of really great UX choices that Antigravity made months ago that Claude is now catching up. So with that, let's check out exactly what I'm talking about with Claude catching up. This is the newest version of the Claude desktop app. They've got the chat like they had before. They've got slash commands, skills, projects, all that cool stuff. Co-work is here, which is very similar to how I was using Antigravity before. And then the biggest upgrade, I think, is the Claude Code UI. So check this out. Look at what they're doing. This is in preview now. It looks a lot like what we had from day one in Antigravity. So I'm not complaining about this. This I think is great. You can select your different models. You can go local, you can add SSH, you can use the remote control, which is cool. You can put it into the web. All this is great. They've got the common button. So instead of slash init, they've got this here. Ask permissions. Like all of this stuff is fantastic. But you see what I'm talking about in that I've already been using all these brand new Claude features for months. Okay, so I guess like where do I land on it? Anthropic has been doing a lot to close the gap. The new UI, what they're doing with chat and co-work and the code interface, massive, massive upgrades, right? Making it a lot more accessible for folks, and that's what we want. But if you look at what Google shipped out of the box, the philosophy is just fundamentally different. This is months later, and this code interface is still in preview from Anthropic. Antigravity had it from the first day. I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's just that I was using this platform. Now the competitor is doing all this stuff to implement the same sort of user experience. I mean, both are excellent. They're both going to get you exactly where you want to go. Claude Code is hidden behind a subscription, whereas Antigravity you can get for free today. So maybe that's a thing. Like maybe you want to try one and then see if it justifies the subscription to another. I definitely recommend the Google subscription. Even the Pro subscription goes a long way. At this point, I think it comes down to ecosystem. Like if you're already on Google stacks, then Antigravity is a no-brainer. But if you're like maybe more used to the terminal, Claude is incredible. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. If you want to see how I use Antigravity day to day, you can check out one of these videos here, or you can click the link in the description to learn how to use these tools day to day for yourself.